All right, so this one is going to be a little bit difficult for me to draw my lines in, but hopefully you will be able to follow along. So you are going to graph the inequality and put the letter of the point that falls within the shaded region in the spot for the number below. All the code checks as you're shading, you'll need to check the placement of your lines with me. So hopefully my answer key is correct. And then I'll try to show my work even if I run out of room a little bit. So to graph this line, I am going to make a t-table because it's in standard form. So if I plug in 0 for x, I get -5. And if I plug in 0 for y, I get +6. And I'm going to go ahead and graph this, and this is a solid line. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2. This is so hard for me to read. Maybe like right there. Looks about halfway. And 6 is there. And I don't really have a ruler, so I'm going to do my best here. You should use a ruler. Okay, and then I'm going to test 0, 0. And that's one of our points anyways, but I'm just going to test it. If I plug in 0, I get 5 times 0 minus 6 times 0 less than or equal to 30. 0 less than or equal to 30. That is true. So I'm going to shade up here. And the point 0, 0 was in there. And so then that's the one that I am going to circle. And then you would come down to the bottom. And for example, for number 1, you're going to put an E. All right, let's see here. So again, for number 2, I'm going to make a t-table. I'm going to do that up here. If I plug in 0 for x, I get 2, and 0 for y, I get 4. So I think here and here should be good. And then this is solid. So I'm going to try to draw my straight line again. And the 0, 0 is on here again. That's the point I'm going to test. I like testing 0, 0. So 2 times 0 plus 4 times 0 greater than or equal to 8. Is 0 greater than or equal to 8? No. So I wouldn't shade on that side. I would shade on this side. So that means R is going to be my letter for number 2. Number 2 is R. Again, I'm going to make a t-table. And I'm going to have, I plug in 0 for x, I get -3. 0 for y, I get 5. That is not right at all. I was thinking that was 15, but it's 30. So, let me erase these. Not highlight, but erase. There we go. If I plug in 0 for x, I get 0 for x, I get -6, and 0 for y, I get 10. So that makes much more sense. So -6 is, I think, about right there, and 10 is over here. This is going to mean a dashed line. Okay, so make sure you have a dashed line in there. Again, I'm gonna try 0, 0. That's the point I like. 3 times 0 minus 5 times 0 less than 30. 0 less than 30. Yes, that's true. So I'm gonna shade. And then 0, 0 is in my shaded area. So 3 is going to be K. All right. So I could do a t-table for this one, but I think I want to change this into y equals just because 11 and 9 don't look very friendly to each other. So I'm going to add 11x to both sides. And then I get y is greater than 11x plus 9. Okay. So that means that my my y-intercept is 9, which is about right there. My slope is 11. So my next point is probably like right there. This one's really tricky to get all the dots in. Do your best. And then this is going to be a dashed line. So I'm going to try and get my dashed line in here. Okay, and then I'm going to try 0, 0. So 0 greater than 11 times 0 plus 9 is 0 greater than 9. It is not. That is false. So I wouldn't shade on the side of 0, 0. I would shade on this side. So that means U, negative 3, 3 is there. So let's see. For number 4, I'm going to put U. Let's see. This one I think we can do a t-table for. So number 5, 0 and 0. If I plug in 0 for x, I get negative 2. And if I plug in 0 for y, I get 8, because 4 divided by 1/2 or 4 divided by 2 would give me 8. So negative 2 is maybe there. And 8 here. This means I have a dash line. That was not a very good dash line on my part. I'm going to plug in 0, 0. So 1/2 times 0 minus 2 times 0 greater than 4 is 0 greater than 4. That is false. So I would shade on the other side. So 2, negative 5 is going to be our... Oh, and I got 2 of these. And last one, I'm going to make a t-table for again. So if I plug in, I get negative 7 here, positive 3. Those are really hard to see, so hopefully that's mostly correct. This here means a solid line. Okay, I'm going to try 0, 0. So 7 times 0 minus 3 times 0 greater than or equal to 21. Is 0 greater than or equal to 21? It is not. So I'm going to shade down here, which would mean that C is the right answer. And BK Bruce is the final answer.
Oh, should we do your chem homework?
Yeah.
All right, so last page here. These are just graphing inequalities where you need to use algebra. Shows up. Here we go. So I'll do my best to write in this tiny little spot. Write clearly in the tiny little spot. Okay, so remember you kind of treat it like an equals at first, and you would draw your line straight down. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. And then I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. $24. And now I'm going to divide by 4. And I'm not dividing by a negative number. I'm dividing a negative number, so I'm still good here. I don't have to flip the sign. So I should get x less than or equal to negative 6. To graph this, you would graph your number line, and less than or equal to would go this way. I'm not going to find the letters. You guys can do that on your own. So same idea here. I'm going to add, this is like 1/3 x. I'm going to add 1/3 x to both sides. So I get 3/3 x minus 4. 3/3 x is 1x. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And when I do that, I get x greater than or equal to negative 1. So I would have a solid circle and everything to the right. First thing I'm going to do here is distribute 5x minus 15. That's supposed to be an x. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Add 15 to both sides. Divide by 2, and I get x is greater than x greater than 12. So I would have an open circle because this was greater than, and color all the way to the right. Next one, I'm going to add 7x to both sides. I'm going to add 11. So I get 51 greater than or equal to 17x. When I divide both sides by 17, I get 3 greater than or equal to x. this would have a solid circle and go towards the right. Number 5, I am going to add 14x to both sides. And I get 13 less than or equal to 17x minus 72. I'm going to add 72 to both sides. So I get 85 equal to 17x. Divide by 17, and I get x greater than or equal to 5. Remember, we need to learn to read that both ways, left to right and right to left. So here's my 5 would be a filled in circle and everything to the right. I am going to subtract 4x from this first. Add 8. 11x is greater than 11, so I divide, I get x greater than 1. To graph this, I'd put a 1, be an open circle, and everything to the right. I am going to distribute first, so I get 10x over 5 minus 40 less than or equal to 6. 10x over 5 is the same as saying 2x minus 40. When I add 40 to both sides, I get 2x less than or equal to 46, and divide by 2, x less than or equal to 23. Solid circle and everything to the left. Going to subtract 6x from both sides. Subtract 4 from both sides. Divide by a positive 3, so I don't have to worry about flipping the sign, and I get negative 3 is less than x. Or, if I read it the other way, x greater than negative 3. So, negative 3 here with an open circle and everything to the right. All right, what do I got here? Negative 27x, I'm distributing first, plus 27 is greater than 2x minus 60. Gonna add 27x to both sides. I get 29x minus 60 over here, and 27. I'm going to add 60, so 87 is greater than 29x. And when you divide, you should get x is less than 3, open circle, and everything to the left. I'm going to add 3/5 x to both sides. So I have 6 is greater than or equal to 4/5 x minus 2. And I add 2 to both sides, so 8 greater than or equal to 4/5 x. Remember, to get rid of a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. So 5 times 8 is 40, divided by 4 is 10. So I get 10 greater than or equal to x, which is also x less than or equal to 10. So I put 10 here, close circle, everything this way. I'm going to subtract 3x. So 16, 2x minus 10. Add 10 to both sides. Divide by 2, and I get 13 greater than or equal to x, which is also x less than or equal to 13. All right, last two. Again, with fractions this time, we need to make a common denominator. The denominator should be 10, so I'm going to multiply by 2 over 2. So I get 6/10 x minus 3, and 3/10 x minus 9. I'm going to subtract 3/10 x from both sides. So then I have, I'm running out of room, of course, I'm going to skip down to here. 3x over 10 minus 3 greater than or equal to negative 9. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So I have 3x over 10 greater than or equal to negative 6. And I'm going to multiply. Should just be negative 6 here. Let's see if I can erase it. There we go. All right, now we're back. Whew. It's getting a little worried there. So this should be -6. So I'm going to multiply by 10/3. Multiply by 10/3. So x will be greater than or equal to -60/3, which would also be -20. So here's -20, and I would have a closed circle and all the way to the right. Oops. That should be, yeah, it should be a closed circle. And then the last one here, I'm going to -2x plus 3. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. 3 less than or equal to 5x minus 7. Add 7 to both sides, and I get 10 less than or equal to 5x. Divide by 5, and we get 2 less than or equal to x. Or you could say x greater than or equal to 2. It would be a closed circle, and all the way to the right. Those are all of them solved.